Jiho pushed his cleaning cart down the long hallway of the Imperial Palace. His footsteps echoed in the empty corridor. It was 3 in the morning, and everyone else was asleep. This was his favorite time to work. No one bothered him. No dragons looked down at him with their cold eyes. He could just clean in peace. He had worked here for 3 years now. Every night, he mopped the marble floors until they shined. He dusted the golden statues. He emptied the trash bins. It was simple work, and Jiho liked simple work. Back on Earth, he had been a janitor too. When the Dracor Empire opened their planets to human workers, Jiho signed up. The pay was good. He could send money back to his sister. The palace was beautiful, even if the dragons who lived here treated him like he was invisible. The walls were made of white stone that seemed to glow in the moonlight. Paintings of ancient dragon battles hung everywhere. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above his head. Jiho had learned not to stare at the fancy things. He kept his eyes down and did his job. As he turned the corner near the royal nursery, he heard something strange. A small scratching sound. Then a tiny squeak. Jiho stopped and listened. The sound came from behind a statue of Empress Nari, the dragon who ruled this entire empire. Jiho walked closer. Behind the statue, he found a small dragon hatchling. It was about the size of a large cat with silver scales that caught the light. The baby dragon looked up at him with big golden eyes. It made a soft chirping sound. "Hey there, little one," Jiho said quietly in Korean. "You're not supposed to be out here." The hatchling tilted its head. Then it walked right up to Jiho and rubbed against his leg like a kitten. Jiho smiled. He had never been this close to a dragon before, especially not a baby one. He reached down carefully and patted its head. The scales felt warm and smooth. "I should take you back," Jiho said. But when he tried to walk toward the nursery, the hatchling followed him instead. It made sad little noises when Jiho moved away. Jiho sighed. He couldn't just leave the baby dragon in the hallway. He picked it up gently. It was heavier than it looked. The hatchling immediately curled up in his arms and closed its eyes. Within seconds, it was asleep. Jiho carried the sleeping dragon to the nursery entrance. The doors were massive, carved with images of dragon ancestors. He pressed the call button on the wall. After a few minutes, an old dragon appeared. She was Yuna, the chief nursery keeper. Her scales were deep blue, almost black, and her eyes were sharp. "What is the meaning of this?" Yuna demanded. She saw the hatchling in Jiho's arms and her eyes went wide. "How did you get Prince Hanbin's son?" "I found him in the hallway," Jiho explained, "behind the statue near Sector 7. Yuna took the sleeping hatchling from Jiho's arms. The moment she did, the baby dragon woke up and started crying. It reached toward Jiho with its small claws. "Strange," Yuna muttered. She looked at Jiho with suspicion. "You may go. I will report this." Jiho nodded and returned to his cleaning cart. He thought about the little dragon all night. How did it escape? The nursery had guards and magic wards. Nothing should be able to get out. The next morning, Jiho learned that it wasn't just one hatchling. All 7 royal babies had escaped during the night. The palace guards had found them in different places. 3 were in the kitchen, 2 were in the library, 1 was in the throne room, and 1 was the hatchling Jiho had found. But here was the strangest part. When the sun came up and Jiho went to the maintenance closet for his break, he found all 7 hatchlings there. They were sleeping in a pile on his chair. His lunchbox was knocked over. His coffee thermos was on its side. But the baby dragons looked peaceful and happy. Jiho stared at them. How did they all get here? The closet was in a completely different wing of the palace. Before he could figure out what to do, Prince Hanbin burst through the door. He was a huge dragon in his natural form with red scales and sharp teeth. Behind him were 6 guards and Yuna. "Step away from the hatchlings," Prince Hanbin roared. Jiho raised his hands and backed up quickly. "I just found them here. I don't know how they got in." The guards surrounded the baby dragons. Yuna checked each one carefully. They were all healthy and still sleeping deeply. When the guards tried to pick them up, The hatchlings woke up and started crying. They crawled toward Jiho, making sad noises. Prince Hanbin's eyes narrowed. "What did you do to them, human?" "Nothing," Jiho said honestly. "I've never seen them before today except for the one I returned last night." "Impossible," Hanbin growled. "The nursery is protected by ancient magic. No one can enter or leave without permission. Yet these hatchlings escaped and came directly to you." Yuna picked up one of the crying babies. "Your Highness, look at their sleep readings." She showed Hanbin a small device. "They slept better in this closet than they ever have in the nursery. Their stress levels are the lowest I've ever recorded." Hanbin looked at Jiho like he was trying to read his mind. "What technology do you have, human? What device are you using?" "Just my cleaning supplies," Jiho said. He opened his cart to show them. Mops, brushes, soap, rags. Nothing special. The guards searched the entire closet. They found nothing unusual, just Jiho's lunchbox with rice and kimchi, his old thermos. A picture of his sister taped to the wall. A small radio that didn't even work anymore. "Take the hatchlings back to the nursery," Hanbin ordered. "Double the guards. Triple the wards. And you," he pointed at Jiho. "Stay away from them." "Yes, sir," Jiho said quietly. But the next night, it happened again. And the night after that. And the night after that. Every single night, all 7 royal hatchlings escaped from their high-security nursery. Every morning, the guards found them sleeping peacefully in Jiho's maintenance closet, curled up around the human janitor who had no idea why baby dragons loved him so much. By the end of the week, the entire imperial court was talking about the strange human and the dragon babies who refused to stay away from him. Empress Nari herself demanded answers. Prince Hanbin ordered a full investigation, and Jiho just wanted to clean floors in peace. But peace was the one thing he wasn't going to get. Empress Nari sat on her crystal throne and listened to the reports. Her face showed no emotion, but inside she was angry. 7 royal hatchlings escaping every night was more than embarrassing. It was a scandal. Dragons from across the empire were watching. They were asking questions. They were laughing at her. "This human must be using some kind of forbidden technology," said Lord Taeyong, one of her advisors. He was an old dragon with green scales and a mean face. "Humans are naturally deceitful. Everyone knows this." "We searched him 3 times, Prince Hanbin said. "We found nothing, just cleaning supplies and his lunch." "Then it's dark magic," Taeyang insisted. "The human must be a witch or a warlock." Empress Nari raised her hand for silence. "I want this human watched every moment. I want to know everything he does. Everything he says, everything he thinks, if possible." She turned to her daughter, Princess Minji. Unlike her brother Hanbin, Minji preferred to stay in her human form most of the time. She was small and thin, with long black hair and intelligent eyes. She spent most of her time in the library, studying ancient books. "Minji, you will observe this human personally," the Empress said. "Use the security cameras. Watch him for 1 full week. I want a complete report." Minji bowed. "Yes, Mother." That night, Minji sat in the security room with her laptop and 6 monitors. She watched Jiho start his shift. He arrived at exactly midnight, just like always. He changed into his work uniform. He checked his cleaning supplies. Then he began his route through the palace. Minji watched him mop the floors. He was careful and thorough. He didn't rush. When he found a difficult stain, he got down on his knees and scrubbed until it was gone. He hummed while he worked. The tune was simple and sad, like an old lullaby. At 2 in the morning, Jiho took his first break. He went to his closet and sat in his chair. He pulled out his thermos and poured tea into the cap. Then he took out his lunchbox. Rice, kimchi, and some dried seaweed. Simple food. He ate slowly, still humming that same tune. Minji leaned closer to the screen. There was nothing suspicious here. Just a lonely human eating his dinner in an empty closet. She felt something strange in her chest. Was it pity? She wasn't sure. Dragons weren't supposed to feel pity for humans. At 3 in the morning, right on schedule, Minji heard alarms from the nursery. The hatchlings were escaping again. She switched cameras to follow them. The 7 baby dragons moved through the palace like they knew exactly where they were going. They squeezed through air vents. They crawled under doors. They moved together like a small army. They went straight to Jiho's closet. Minji watched as the hatchlings pushed open the door. Jiho looked up from his tea, not surprised at all. He just smiled. "Back again?" he said in Korean. Then he switched to English. "Come on in, little ones." The baby dragons rushed to him. They climbed onto his lap, his shoulders, his feet. They made happy chirping sounds. One of them knocked over his thermos, spilling tea everywhere. Jiho just laughed. "Careful, that's hot," he said gently. He moved the thermos away and wiped up the spill with a rag. The hatchlings settled around him. Jiho started talking to them in a soft voice. He told them stories about Earth, about mountains and oceans, about his sister who grew vegetables in a garden, about the cats that lived in his old apartment building. His voice was warm and calm. Minji checked the bio monitors that were hidden on each hatchling. Their heart rates slowed down. Their body temperatures regulated perfectly. Their brain waves showed deep, peaceful sleep patterns. She had never seen readings this good, not even in the specially designed nursery with all its expensive equipment. But why? What was this human doing? Minji watched Jiho for hours. He didn't move much. He just sat there with 7 sleeping dragons around him, sometimes patting their heads, sometimes singing quietly in Korean. The songs were simple. They sounded old, like something a grandmother might sing. When his shift ended at dawn, Jiho carefully moved each sleeping hatchling onto his chair. He covered them with his jacket. Then he slipped out quietly and went home. 20 minutes later, the guards arrived and found the hatchlings. They took them back to the nursery. The babies cried the whole way. Minji spent the next 6 days watching the same thing happen. Every night, Jiho worked. Every night, the hatchlings escaped and found him. Every night, they slept better than they ever had before. And every morning, they were returned to the nursery, crying. On the 7th day, Minji went to see Yuna in the nursery. The old dragon was sitting with one of the hatchlings trying to feed it. The baby refused to eat. It kept looking toward the door and making sad sounds. "They're not eating well," Yuna said. Her voice was tired. "They barely sleep anymore unless they escape to find that human. I don't understand it. I've been raising dragon hatchlings for 400 years. Nothing like this has ever happened." "May I see the old records?" Minji asked. "The really old ones from before the dragon-human wars?" Yuna's eyes narrowed. "Why?" "Just a feeling," Minji said. Yuna led her to a locked room deep in the nursery. Inside were books that looked ancient. The pages were yellow and fragile. Minji read for hours while Yuna watched. Finally, Minji found something. A story from 2,000 years ago, before dragons and humans became enemies. The story talked about special humans called heart callers. These humans had something in their bodies, some natural rhythm, that made dragon babies calm and happy. In the old days, every dragon nursery had human helpers. Dragons and humans raised the young together. But then came the wars. Dragons decided humans were weak and useless. The partnership ended, and dragons forgot that humans had ever been important. Heart callers were supposed to be extinct, Yuna whispered. She was reading over Minji's shoulder. The genetic trait disappeared centuries ago. Maybe not completely, Minji said. Maybe this Jiho is one of them. Impossible, Yuna said, but her voice wasn't sure anymore. He's just a janitor, just a human. Minji closed the book. I need to tell my mother about this. But when Minji brought her findings to the Empress, the imperial court laughed at her. Lord Taiyang was the loudest. Heart callers are fairy tales, he shouted. Children's stories. You're telling me that our empire, the greatest in the galaxy, needs help from a human janitor? It's insulting. The evidence is clear, Minji argued. The hatchling's bio readings prove it. Then we'll move the human, Empress Nari decided. Put him on day shift. Keep him far away from the nursery. Problem solved. Prince Hanbin looked uncomfortable. Mother, the hatchlings are already showing signs of stress. If we separate them from Jiho completely, they are dragons, the Empress snapped. They will adapt. Change the human schedule immediately. The next day, Jiho was told he would work mornings now, in a completely different wing of the palace. He said okay and didn't complain. He never complained about anything, but the hatchlings didn't adapt. They stopped eating completely. They cried all day and all night. They tried to escape constantly, throwing themselves at the nursery doors until Yuna was afraid they would hurt themselves. On the third day, Jiho couldn't ignore their cries anymore. During his lunch break, he walked to the nursery. He wasn't supposed to be there. He knew he would get in trouble. But the sound of those babies crying made his heart hurt. When he opened the nursery door, all 7 hatchlings rushed to him. They climbed all over him, making happy sounds. Their crying stopped immediately. Yuna watched from across the room. Her old eyes were wet with tears. She had never seen anything like this in her entire long life. And she finally understood that the human janitor wasn't the problem. He was the answer to a question dragons had forgotten how to ask. Yuna stood in the nursery and watched something impossible. The 7 royal hatchlings, who had been crying and refusing food for 3 days, were now calm and quiet. They sat around Jiho like he was their mother. One was asleep on his lap. 2 were playing with his shoelaces. Another was chewing gently on his sleeve. Jiho sat on the floor and let them do whatever they wanted. He smiled and patted their heads. He spoke to them in soft Korean, telling them a story about a rabbit and a tiger. The hatchlings didn't understand the words, but they liked his voice. "This shouldn't be possible," Yuna said out loud. Her hands were shaking. She was 412 years old. She had raised thousands of dragon babies. She thought she knew everything about hatchlings, but this human janitor was proving her wrong. She walked to her desk and pulled out a very old book. It was the one Princess Minji had been reading. The book about heart callers. Yuna had read it many times when she was young, but she always thought it was just a legend, a nice story from the old days. Now she wasn't sure. She picked up her communicator and called the imperial physician. "Doyen, I need you in the nursery. Bring your medical scanner, all of them." Dr. Doyen arrived 20 minutes later. He was a dragon who preferred his human form, a tall man with silver hair and tired eyes. He had been the palace doctor for 60 years. He carried 3 cases of equipment. "What's the emergency?" he asked. Then he saw Jiho sitting on the floor with the hatchlings. "Oh, the human." "I need you to scan him," Yuna said. "Everything. Body temperature, heart rate, brain waves, electromagnetic field, everything you can measure." Doyen looked confused, but he set up his equipment. Jiho sat very still while the doctor worked. The hatchlings didn't like the machines getting close to their human. They hissed at Doyen until Jiho calmed them down. "It's okay, little ones," Jiho said. "The doctor is a friend. He's just checking to make sure I'm healthy." The scan took 30 minutes. Doyen stared at his screens and his face got more and more surprised. He ran the scan 3 more times to make sure his machines were working correctly. "This is remarkable," he finally said. "His heart rate is exactly 60 beats per minute. Perfect rhythm. No variation at all. His body temperature is constant at 37 degrees. Again, no variation. And his electromagnetic field?" Doyen showed the screen to Yuna. "Look at this pattern." Yuna looked. The pattern on the screen was a perfect wave, smooth and regular like ocean waves on a calm day. "What does this mean?" "It means his body produces rhythms that are almost mechanical in their perfection," Doyen explained. "Most living beings have small variations. Our hearts speed up and slow down. Our temperature changes. Our energy fields fluctuate. But this human, he's like a living metronome, completely steady." Yuna pulled out the old book and opened it to a specific page. She showed it to Doyen. "Does this match?" The page showed drawings of heart callers from ancient times. Below the drawings were measurements. Heart rate, 60 beats per minute, no variation. Body temperature, 37 degrees, constant. Electromagnetic pattern, smooth wave formation. Doyen's eyes went wide. "It's an exact match, but heart callers are supposed to be extinct." "Clearly not," Yuna said. She looked at Jiho, who was now playing a simple clapping game with the hatchlings. They tried to copy him, slapping their small claws together. They were having fun. Does he know? Doyen asked. Does he know what he is? I don't think so, Yuna said. Look at him. He thinks he's just a janitor. Yuna walked over to Jiho. She sat down on the floor next to him, which was something she never did. Her old bones hurt, but she ignored the pain. Jiho, she said gently, do you know why the hatchlings like you so much? Jiho shrugged. I don't know. Maybe because I'm quiet? I had cats back on Earth. They liked me too. Animals can tell when someone is calm, I think. It's more than that, Yuna said. She didn't know how to explain it in a way he would understand. Your body makes a kind of music, a rhythm. Baby dragons need this rhythm to feel safe. Most dragons lost the ability to make this music a long time ago. But some humans still have it. You have it. Jiho looked down at the hatchling sleeping in his lap. So I'm not doing anything wrong? I'm not using magic or tricks? No, Yuna said. You're just being yourself. And yourself is exactly what these babies need. Doyen packed up his equipment. I need to report this to the Empress. She needs to know the truth. She won't believe it, Yuna said. Dragons like her think humans are weak and useless. The idea that we need humans for something important. It goes against everything she believes. The evidence doesn't lie, Doyen said. He looked at Jiho one more time. With your permission, I'd like to run more tests. There might be other humans with this ability. We could help dragon nurseries across the Empire. Jiho looked uncomfortable. I just want to clean floors and not cause trouble. I know, Doyen said kindly. But sometimes we don't get to choose what we're good at. We just have to accept it. That evening, Doyen and Yuna presented their findings to Empress Nari and the Imperial Council. They showed the scans. They showed the old book. They explained everything in detail. The council room was silent when they finished. Then Lord Taiyang started laughing. It was a mean, nasty laugh. You're telling us, he said between laughs, that our mighty empire needs a human janitor? That our royal hatchlings can't survive without some weak, short-lived creature mopping our floors? He looked around the room. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The science is clear, Doyen said firmly. Jiho is a heart caller, the last one we know of. His body produces rhythms that dragon hatchlings need for healthy development. Then we'll keep him in the nursery, Empress Nari said. Her voice was cold. Lock him in. Make him work there. Problem solved. Mother, no, Princess Minji said. She stepped forward. We can't imprison him. He's done nothing wrong. He's actually helping us. Helping us? Taiyang spat. He's embarrassing us. What will the other empires say when they learn we need humans? They'll think we're weak. Prince Hanbin had been quiet through the whole meeting. Now he stood up. What matters more? Our pride or the health of our children? The room went silent again. It was a bold question. Dragons valued pride above almost everything. But they also loved their children. I propose, Hanbin continued, that we offer Jiho a position as Royal Hatchling Guardian. Give him proper quarters. Pay him well. Treat him with respect. Let him choose to help us, not force him. A human on the palace staff? Taiyang was turning red with anger. In an official position? Never. Why not? Minji asked. We have human janitors, human cooks, human gardeners. Why not a human guardian? Because those are servant positions, Taiyang shouted. A guardian would have authority, respect. We can't give that to a human. Empress Nari raised her hand for silence. She looked tired. I need time to think about this. The human will continue his current duties. The hatchlings may visit him during his breaks. We will discuss this matter again in 1 week. It wasn't the answer anyone wanted, but it was better than nothing. Outside the council room, Minji found Jiho waiting. He had been told to stay nearby. He looked nervous. Did I do something wrong, Princess? He asked quietly. Minji felt that strange feeling in her chest again. This human had no idea how important he was. He thought he was in trouble. He was ready to apologize for something that wasn't his fault. No, Jiho, she said. You did everything right. Actually, I think you might be the most important person in this palace right now. You just don't know it yet. Jiho looked confused, but he nodded. Can I go back to work now? Yes, Minji said. And Jiho? Thank you. For taking care of the little ones. They're lucky to have you. Jiho smiled. It was a small, humble smile. I'm just glad I can help. As he walked away with his cleaning cart, Minji realized something. This simple human janitor had more genuine kindness in him than most of the dragons in the Imperial Court. And maybe that was the real reason the hatchlings loved him. Maybe kindness was the rhythm they really needed. The news spread fast. Too fast. Within 3 days, everyone in the palace knew about the human janitor and his strange connection to the royal hatchlings. The servants whispered about it in the kitchens. The guards talked about it during their shifts. And soon, the story reached the public news networks. Dragons across the empire watched the reports with shock and disbelief. A human? Helping dragon royalty? It seemed impossible. Many didn't believe it. They thought it was fake news or some kind of trick. But then someone leaked a security video. It showed Jiho sitting in the nursery with all 7 hatchlings sleeping peacefully around him. The video went viral within hours. Millions of dragons watched it. Billions of humans watched it too. Empress Nari was furious when she saw the video spreading across every news channel. She called an emergency meeting of the Imperial Council. Find out who leaked that video, she ordered, and stop it from spreading. We can't stop it, Your Majesty, said her communications advisor. It's already everywhere. Every planet in the Empire has seen it. Lord Taeyang stood up, his face red with anger. This is a disaster. We look weak. We look like we can't even take care of our own children without human help. Perhaps we should embrace it, Princess Minji suggested carefully. The public response isn't all negative. Many people find the story touching. They see it as a sign of cooperation between species. Cooperation, Taeyang snorted. With humans? They're servants, nothing more. This janitor is making us look foolish. Prince Hanbin stood up. The janitor isn't making us look foolish. We're doing that ourselves. We had a problem with the hatchlings. Jiho solved it. Instead of being grateful, we're arguing about pride. Pride is important, Taeyang shouted. Without pride, what are we? Parents, Hanbin said quietly. We're parents who want our children to be healthy and happy. That should matter more than pride. Empress Nari looked at her son with surprise. Hanbin was usually quiet in these meetings. He was a soldier, not a politician. But now he was speaking with passion. I've been watching Jiho with my son, Hanbin continued. The hatchling that escaped first, the one Jiho found behind the statue. That's my child. And I've never seen him so calm and content as when he's with that human. It made me think, what kind of father would I be if I put my pride before my son's well-being? The room was silent. Several council members looked uncomfortable. They all had children or grandchildren in various nurseries across the empire. I propose we test other humans, Hanbin said. Dr. Doyen believes the heart collar trait still exists in the human population. If we can find more humans like Jiho, we could improve dragon nurseries everywhere. Fewer sick hatchlings, better development, stronger children. And what do we give these humans in return? Taeyang demanded. Respect? Status? Equal treatment? He said it like it was a joke. Yes, Minji said firmly. Exactly that. Why shouldn't we? If they provide a valuable service, they deserve to be treated well. Taeyang pointed at her. This is what happens when you spend too much time reading old books, Princess. You forget how the modern world works. Humans are inferior. They always have been. One human with a useful trick doesn't change that. He's not a trick, Hanbin said. His voice was getting angry now. He's a person. A good person who helps our children because he's kind, not because he wants something from us. Then he's a fool, Taeyang said. Smart humans would use this situation to demand money or power. At that moment, the council room door opened. A guard rushed in and bowed to the Empress. Your Majesty, forgive the interruption, the guard said. But Lord Taeyang's grandson has fallen ill in the Eastern Nursery. The doctors say his stress levels are dangerous. Taeyang's face went pale. What? How? They don't know, my lord. He won't eat or sleep. He cries constantly. They've tried everything. Minji spoke up quickly. With your permission, mother, I'd like to bring Jiho to the Eastern Nursery. If he truly has the heart caller ability, he should be able to help. Taeyang looked torn between his pride and his fear for his grandson. Finally, fear won. Fine, bring the human. But this proves nothing. Minji found Jiho in the West Wing, mopping a hallway. She explained the situation. Jiho didn't hesitate. Of course I'll help, he said. Where is the baby? They took a fast transport to the Eastern Nursery. It was 30 minutes away from the palace. When they arrived, they could hear the hatchling crying from outside the building. It was a terrible sound, high and painful. The nursery keeper was an old dragon named Borum. She looked exhausted. Nothing works, she told them. I've tried every technique I know. He's making himself sick. Jiho walked into the nursery. The hatchling was alone in a special care unit, surrounded by medical equipment. He was smaller than the royal hatchlings with dark green scales. When he saw Jiho, he stopped crying for just a moment. Hey, little one, Jiho said softly in Korean. You're having a bad day, huh? He sat down next to the care unit. The hatchling watched him with big, sad eyes. Slowly, Jiho reached out his hand. The baby dragon sniffed it, then pressed his head against Jiho's palm. Within 5 minutes, the hatchling was asleep. His breathing became normal. His heart rate steadied. The medical monitors showed all his vital signs improving. Borum stared at the screens with her mouth open. That's impossible. We've been trying for 2 days. It's not impossible, Minji said. It's science. Old science that we forgot. They stayed for 2 hours. Jiho sat with the hatchling the whole time. He sang quiet songs in Korean. He told stories. He just kept the baby dragon company. By the time they left, the hatchling was eating and playing normally. Lord Taiyang was waiting when they returned to the palace. He looked different, smaller somehow, less angry. My grandson is better, he said to Jiho. His voice was stiff, like the words were hard to say. The nursery keeper says you helped him. I'm glad he's okay, Jiho said simply. Taiyang studied Jiho's face. He seemed to be looking for something. Pride, maybe, or smugness. But Jiho just looked tired and ready to go back to work. You really don't want anything, do you? Taiyang asked. No reward, no special treatment. Jiho shrugged. I just like helping. The little ones are sweet. They remind me of the cats I used to take care of. They're not cats, Taiyang said. They're dragon nobility, the future rulers of planets. And you compare them to cats? All babies are the same, Jiho said. They need food, sleep, and someone to care about them. Doesn't matter if they're cats or dragons or humans. Taiyang walked away without another word. But Minji noticed something. He didn't look angry anymore. He looked thoughtful. That night, the Imperial Council met again. This time, the vote was different. Even Taiyang voted yes. The council approved the Heart Caller initiative. They would test humans across the empire. Those with the gift would be offered positions in dragon nurseries. They would receive good pay, comfortable housing, and official status as guardians. Jiho was offered the first position, Royal Hatchling. Guardian for the Imperial Nursery. The job came with a private apartment in the palace, a salary 10 times what he made as a janitor, and a seat at council meetings about hatchling care. When Prince Hanbin told him about the offer, Jiho was quiet for a long time. I have one condition, he finally said. Name it, Hanbin said. I want to train other humans to do this work, and I want to make sure they're treated with respect, not like servants. If we're going to help raise dragon children, we should be seen as partners, not tools. Hanbin smiled. It was the first real smile Jiho had seen from the serious prince. I think that can be arranged. Then I accept, Jiho said. The next morning, Jiho moved into his new apartment. It was bigger than his entire house back on Earth. It had windows that looked out over the palace gardens. The furniture was fancy and comfortable. But the best part was the special room connected to the nursery. He could be close to the hatchlings whenever they needed him. The 7 royal babies celebrated by sleeping in a pile on his new bed. They got scales and baby dragon drool all over his fancy sheets. Jiho just laughed and took a picture to send to his sister. Outside, the empire was changing. Slowly, but changing. And it all started because a simple janitor was kind to babies who needed him. Sometimes the biggest changes come from the smallest acts of kindness. 6 months passed. The imperial palace was different now. Not in big ways that everyone could see, but in small ways that mattered. Jiho woke up every morning in his apartment with at least 3 hatchlings sleeping on his bed. Sometimes all 7. They had their own rooms in the nursery, but they preferred to be near him. Yuna had given up trying to keep them in their proper beds. "Let them be happy," she said. "That's what matters." Jiho's mornings were busy now. He helped feed the hatchlings their breakfast. He played with them in the nursery garden. He checked their health with Borum and the other nursery keepers. It was very different from mopping floors, but Jiho found he liked it even more. His friend Suman was the first human to join the Heart Collar initiative. Suman had worked in the palace kitchens for 5 years. When they tested her, they found she had the gift too. Not as strong as Jiho's, but strong enough to help. "I never knew I could do this," Suman said on her first day. She was sitting with 2 hatchlings from a noble family. They were curled up against her, sleeping peacefully. "I thought I was just good at cooking rice." "You're good at more than that," Jiho told her. "The little ones can tell." Over the next few months, they tested 3,000 humans across the empire. They found 42 with the Heart Collar ability. It was rare, just like the old book said. 1 in about every 1,000 humans. But that was enough. 42 humans could help a lot of dragon nurseries. The training program started small. Jiho taught the new Heart Collars everything he had learned. How to hold hatchlings properly. What their different cries meant. How to tell when they were sick or just tired. The dragon nursery keepers helped too. Yuna was especially patient, sharing her 400 years of knowledge. "I never thought I would teach humans," Yuna admitted one day. She was showing a heart caller named Minho how to prepare special food for sick hatchlings. "I always believed dragons were superior to all other species, but watching you all work, I see now that superiority isn't about being strong or living long. It's about what you do with what you have." The results were amazing. Dragon nurseries that had heart collar helpers showed huge improvements. Hatchling death rates dropped by 60% across the empire. Sick babies recovered faster. Healthy babies grew stronger. The young dragons who spent time with heart collars showed better emotional development. They were calmer, more curious, and more empathetic than previous generations. Scientists studied this. They wrote papers about it. They discovered that human heart collars didn't just help hatchlings sleep better. The constant, steady rhythms from human bodies actually helped dragon brains develop in healthier ways. It was like a form of therapy that happened naturally, just from being near the right kind of human. Princess Minji published a famous research paper called Forgotten Partnerships: The Science of Dragon-Human Cooperation. It won the Empire's highest academic award. In the paper, she proved that ancient dragons and humans had evolved together, helping each other. When the partnership broke, both species lost something important. "We didn't need to hate each other," Minji wrote in the conclusion. "We needed each other. We still do." Not everyone was happy about the changes. Lord Taeyong and his supporters still grumbled about humans having official positions. They complained when heart callers were invited to important ceremonies. They didn't like seeing humans treated as equals, but even Taeyong couldn't argue with the results. His grandson, the hatchling Jiho had helped, was now healthy and strong. The baby visited the palace often to play with the royal hatchlings, and every time, he would find Jiho and curl up in his lap for a nap. "Your grandson really loves Jiho," Prince Hanbin mentioned to Taeyong one day. Taeyong watched the human and the hatchling together. His face was hard to read. "Yes," he finally said. "He does. And he's healthier than any hatchling our family has had in 3 generations. I still don't like it, but I can't deny it works." It was the closest thing to an apology Taeyong would ever give. Hanbin decided to accept it. The biggest moment came when Empress Nari made an official announcement. The entire empire watched on their screens as she stood at the grand podium, looking out over the capital city. For centuries, the Empress said, our empire has treated humans as lesser beings. We gave them only the jobs we didn't want. We treated them as servants and nothing more. This was wrong. The crowd murmured in surprise. Dragons didn't often admit they were wrong. A human named Jiho showed us something important, Nari continued. He showed us that value doesn't come from strength or long life. It comes from what you give to others. Jiho gave kindness to our children when they needed it most. He asked for nothing in return. He just wanted to help. Nari paused and looked directly at the camera. Because of one human janitor, we have learned to see humans differently. And because of that, our children are healthier and happier. I am creating a new law today. All humans in the Dracor Empire will have full citizenship rights. They will have equal pay for equal work. They will be treated with the same respect as any dragon. The announcement caused chaos. Some dragons cheered, others protested. Arguments filled the news networks for weeks. But the law passed. It was done. Jiho watched the announcement from his apartment. The 7 royal hatchlings were playing on the floor, wrestling over a toy. They didn't understand the importance of what was happening. They just knew they were safe and happy. Someone knocked on the door. It was Empress Nari herself. Jiho quickly stood up and bowed. Your Majesty, he said, surprised. May I come in? She asked. Of course. Nari entered the apartment. She had never been here before. She looked around at the simple furniture, the pictures of Earth on the walls, the toys scattered everywhere. One of the hatchlings, her own grandchild, ran over and tried to climb her leg. Nari picked up the baby dragon. He chirped happily and nuzzled her neck. She smiled, and Jiho realized it was the first real smile he had ever seen from her. I came to thank you, Nari said, and to apologize. You don't need to apologize to me, Jiho said. Yes, I do, Nari insisted. I treated you badly. I suspected you of evil things when you were only being kind. I tried to keep you away from the hatchlings when you were the best thing for them. I let my pride blind me to the truth. She sat down on Jiho's couch, still holding the hatchling. My advisors tell me that before you came, our hatchling mortality rate was the highest it had been in a century. We were losing children and we didn't know why. You saved them. You saved my grandchildren. And I repaid you with suspicion and insults. You were protecting your family, Jiho said. I understand that. You're too kind, Nari said. But I suppose that's why the little ones love you. She looked down at the hatchling in her arms. He's so peaceful, so happy. I remember when my own children were this age. They cried constantly. We thought it was normal. But maybe they were just missing something we didn't know how to give them. Maybe, Jiho said quietly. Tell me something, Nari asked. Why didn't you demand more from us? When we discovered what you could do, you could have asked for money, power, anything. Why didn't you? Jiho thought about it. Back on Earth, I was just a janitor. I cleaned buildings. It was honest work, but nobody really noticed me. Then I came here and I found out I could help these little ones. That felt good. That felt important. I don't need power or money to feel important. I just need to know I'm helping someone who needs it. Nari was quiet for a long moment. You are a better person than most dragons I know, she finally said, and we are lucky to have you. After she left, Jiho sat with the hatchlings and thought about how strange life was. A year ago, he was mopping floors and eating lunch alone in a closet. Now he was changing an empire, one baby dragon at a time. The 7 royal hatchlings were getting bigger now. Soon, they would be too large to all fit on his bed. They would start their formal education and learn to be proper dragon nobility. But Jiho would still be there for them. Yuna had already asked him to help design a new curriculum that included time with heart callers. Young dragons need to learn empathy, she said. They learn it best from humans who actually have it. Jiho looked out the window at the palace gardens. He could see human and dragon workers working together, planting new flowers for spring. A year ago, they wouldn't have talked to each other. Now they were sharing tools and laughing at jokes. One small change had started it all. Baby dragons who loved a janitor who loved them back. It seemed simple, but the simple things were often the most powerful. That night, Jiho sat in his favorite chair with a cup of tea. The chair wasn't fancy like the rest of his new furniture. It was his old chair from the maintenance closet. He had asked if he could keep it, and they let him. It was worn and stained, but comfortable. All 7 hatchlings climbed onto the chair with him, somehow fitting into a pile even though they were getting too big. They fell asleep to the sound of Jiho humming an old Korean lullaby. Through the window, the twin moons of Valoria rose into the night sky. They cast silver light across the palace. Somewhere in that palace, 42 other humans were sitting with dragon babies, sharing their gift of calm and kindness. And somewhere on Earth, Jiho's sister received the message he sent every week. This one had a photo of him covered in baby dragons, smiling wider than he had in years. "I found my place," he had written. "Turns out it was waiting for me all along. I just had to be brave enough to be myself." Below the message, she saw one more line. "The little ones say hello. They miss you even though they've never met you. I tell them stories about you all the time. Maybe someday you can visit and meet them. I think you'd like it here. It's beautiful, and it finally feels like home." Jiho closed his eyes and listened to the soft breathing of 7 sleeping dragons. He was just a janitor who hummed old songs and loved babies. But somehow, that was exactly what the universe needed. Sometimes the most ordinary people do the most extraordinary things simply by being who they are.